This is so awkward. Thank you all. Have any of you here actually gone through some of the training that we've done in the past? We used to do military mortgage boot camp. You might have heard of that. Might have been part of that. We got about 6 or 7 folks here. Did you guys find value in that?
Yes.
100%. Cool. So many of you have heard that we're working on a new program. Scott talked about it a little bit. The program is called Veteran Mortgage Advisor.
Mic closer to your mouth, Mike.
You can do veteranmortgageadvisor.com. It'll ask you to opt in for emails. You'll get emails and stuff like that from me. That's about all I'm going to say about the program. How many of you here know Tim Davis? Most of you. Cool. Have you ever heard Tim talk about how you don't necessarily need to have 7,000 different mortgage strategies? That it's okay just to have one thing that works really, really, really well? I like to call that like my fastball. Look at myself as the pitcher. Like I got something that I know works. They're going to put me in the game when they need me, and I'm just going to throw that fastball. Okay? The fastball that we have used to help agents and to help veterans, to serve more veterans over the year, has quite simply been a presentation called Present a VA Offer the Seller Will Accept. And what we do when we're teaching agents about this is we try to incorporate the agent's pain points and try to take a fix the problem or solve the problem method to explain to the agents you're going to attract more veterans. Your veterans will be some of the best clients you've ever had. They're going to be extremely loyal. I mean, piss them off and they're going to be extremely not loyal, right? You sure don't want to piss them off too much. But ultimately, veterans will gravitate not just to a brand, they're going to gravitate to people. They're going to gravitate to people that take care of them and that take care of them on the same level that they have felt in the past, like a brotherhood. Would you say that's correct, Travis?
100%.
100%. Now, I lean on people like Travis because I myself am not a veteran. My father was, many people in my family were, and I think it's kind of important that I share some of my why I do this, and I would ask all of you to think about why you would want to serve more veterans as well. My family grew up in the Toledo Valley, but actually in the Michigan side, and there was not a whole lot of money for generations. My parents were kind of the first round of people to go to college. You know how my dad went to college?
GI Bill?
GI Bill, 100%. Do you know how we bought our house? VA loan. We got to live in a community, Grand Blanc, Michigan. It's not so nice these days. It's all right, but at the time it was very affluent with GM money. So we got nice houses, nice schools, things that previous generations of my family had never seen. They were all just farmers. I didn't know these things until later in life. I didn't realize what my dad had gone through in Vietnam. He never talked about it. I didn't know all these things about housing until I became a lender. And then next thing I know, I'm talking to other loan officers and I'm trying to learn the VA loan myself, and I'm like, oh, nobody does VA loans. And for years, oh no, that's not a good product. And it took kind of somebody to shake me a little bit and say, dude, do the math. Does this make sense? Are these veterans in a better position to pay PMI on an FHA loan? Are they in a better position to put zero down and continue to build wealth on a VA loan? I'm like, damn, that's right. But these loans are harder. Well, are they harder? They're harder if you don't know what you're doing, right? Yeah. So the challenge, the problem that really needs to be solved is the education out there for the veterans and the loan officers and the real estate agents that VA loans are simple. Is that the message that you hear all the time? No, there's a misperception, right? So how do we change that perception in the marketplace? Education, 100%, Travis. Travis knows this. So that education can come in many forms. It can come in the form of a structured class. That's 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It can come in the form of multiple emails out of a CRM, where you're just quite simply typing up an explanation of something going on with a VA loan. It can come in the form of a video series. It can come in the form of, again, just random social media posts whenever the heck you feel like it. But ultimately, I would urge you to think about how you're presenting yourself as a VA specialist or VA loan officer to the market and learn those pieces of the VA loan that are the most misunderstood. And that goes back to what I was talking about with Tim Davis. That fastball is basically knowing the most common myths that are out there in the market that get misunderstood. So without me telling you what I think they are, anybody want to just throw something out there that you hear?
Termite inspections.
Okay, pest inspections. What's the myth about it?
that the seller has to pay for?
Okay, cool. We'll circle back to that. What's another one?
And they take
Sellers
longer.
pay lots
They
of.
take longer. Sellers got to pay fees. Okay.
Or appraisal always comes
They
in
take
low.
forever. Appraisal always comes in low. Appraisal takes forever, right?
Tidewater.
Tidewater.
30
Yep.
cavers?
The price always has conditions.
Appraisal has conditions,
Yeah,
right?
just because it's zero down payment, that is zero cost.
Right. Right. So the buyer maybe isn't as good of a buyer. They don't have any skin in the game.
Right.
Nothing makes my skin crawl more than hearing that.
Right.
Skin in the game. I mean, seriously, we served over
Yeah.
in the desert, taking shots, eating crap out of a bag. You didn't have any skin in the game. But I've learned that I'm not going to win the battle on the streets with the real estate agents by getting them emotionally attached to the fact that the veterans are being disturbed. I have to arm myself with accuracy and with information and be a little better than the other folks that are out there in the marketplace. Now, quite frankly, I gotta say, most loan officers complain about the wrong things. We complain about the realtors not listening to us. We should actually be complaining about our own industry not doing a great job of marketing and losing veteran clients to online lenders that don't necessarily do that great of a job. Have you ever seen a veteran go to an online lender that dropped the ball?
All the time.
All the time, okay? Now, is that the veteran's fault? Sometimes, maybe they just didn't listen, but the reality is they're being constantly marketed to. They're a highly targeted population, and people have realized this, and they've kind of latched onto it and tried to turn it into a business model. Now, I'm not gonna debate the ethics of that, but I believe that that kind of marketing with the call centers leads to underpaying, undertraining. I sometimes call them headset jockeys who may have good intentions, may want a career like the rest of us, but unfortunately their leadership doesn't put them in a position to really truly teach them how to write loans correctly. So rather than just being, part of the complaining community, our mission has been to educate the LOs. Look, you need to have a louder marketing message, and you're not going to compete in the Google click space. Some of you are good at that stuff, but most of us aren't going to compete with, a big box lender like a Veterans United, correct?
Right.
If anyone's like watching this or they work there, I'm not trying to go after an individual lender, but let's just face it, we're not going to compete with a website with all that hits and money behind it. It's just not going to happen. But we can compete locally in our microcosm on the street level by getting all the eyes and ears in our community involved. First step is actually to get the realtors involved. So how about this? How about we go to the local real estate boards and we say, look, I got a pretty darn structured presentation. I'm going to teach all the realtors in this board how they should be presenting offers that a seller will accept, how to attract more veterans to their real estate business, and most importantly, how to serve veterans by understanding the most misunderstood myths of the transaction. Now, really what you're doing when you get in front of these realtors is explaining to them how the VA loan works by solving the problems that we just talked about, the myths. Like, okay, veteran, you said the veteran, are sometimes not good buyers because they didn't have skin in the game. Let's break down the demographics of the average veteran buyer. Did you know they have credit score 728? Did you know they have average assets of about $18,000 at the time of closing? Do you know that their median income is about 40% higher than the median income in this county? Does that sound like a subprime buyer or an FHA buyer? No, that sounds like a conventional buyer that's only using their VA loan because they earned it and they want to invest the difference in that down payment. Now, Mr. Realtor, if that veteran is going to place an offer, and yes, they're putting zero down, but let's say they have 17 and we have another borrower that's having 17,000 and borrower B is putting down 10% or 5%, and my veteran's putting down zero, who actually has more money to pay over appraised value? My client, my veteran client, okay? So now we're getting in front of the realtors and teaching them how to solve the problem. The problem of getting that veteran's offer accepted. That in perception that buyer is not as good of a buyer as the buyer who had a different kind of financed offer. So it goes into a little deeper though. We gotta show a lot of things. We gotta break more than just that one myth. We gotta maybe break the seller fees myth. So to do that, we as loan officers, we have to know the guidelines. We have to understand where we pull this stuff out of the 26.7. And this is the part that I struggled with when we started doing these programs. If we're gonna teach loan officers how to market and how to sell, man, they gotta be good at guidelines. Well, I don't wanna teach loan officers guidelines. I don't wanna be a CE guy. I want to be the sales guy. I wanna be the guy that brings the deals in, right? But unfortunately, to be really good at it, to actually be sharp and to be at the top of my sales game, I actually have to know this stuff so that when I'm talking to the realtors, I can say, look, you've got a problem in how this offer is presented. You're presenting this offer as if the seller's going to give something up. How about instead of presenting it like that, let's cross out all that verbiage in this standard purchase agreement that was written by a real estate board that says seller has to pay pest fees, because I, as a lender, know that goes for the unallowable fees in the VA 26 section. And as long as the unallowable fees don't exceed 1%, the veteran can pay all the unallowable fees, the closing fee, the pest, the whole 9 yards. So my company knows how to structure this where we actually don't charge the veterans any fees up front. And yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if the seller could pay it, but we don't want to put them at a competitive disadvantage, right? So we're going to bust the myth that the seller has to pay these fees. It's more of a misunderstanding in our marketplace. It's just been passed down from generation to generation about how the VA guidelines work. So you see how we're breaking down the myths and we're teaching the realtors how to better put that offer together. Now we also have to teach those realtors, unfortunately, some things that aren't even related to VA loans. We sometimes have to teach them sales and negotiating skills, right? And I mean, some of them are better than us, let's face it. But some of them do need some help understanding how to get to the point with the listing agent. So that goes beyond our original fastball, our original presentation where we got their attention. We already showed them, like, I know how to bust myths, I know how to get through this stuff. We're gonna show them, hey, let's teach you how to get to the point where the only thing that matters is the net to the seller, you know? And so we just go through classic sales structure. Ask some questions, draw out the objections, wait till we get to all the objections, ask as many as we can, and then we just answer them all, do a soft little close, and then pass it back to the buyer's agent. Those are the kind of things that we teach in Veterans Mortgage Advisor. We teach the agents how to work with each other to move the veteran's offer to the top of the pile, so that the only thing that really matters in a case like that is the net to the seller. So Nate, let's pretend that you're an agent. Nate, if I have an offer that's netting your seller more money than any other offers and it closes just as fast, if not faster, than any other offer, wouldn't it make sense to move that offer to the top of the pile?
Yes.
100%. Okay, Nate, now I kind of tricked you because I didn't tell you that this is a VA offer that we've got coming in. We've got an honorable American veteran that has served. You probably saw that pre-approval come over. You saw a cover letter. The veteran gave us some permission to share some of his financial stats with us. He's actually super well qualified, slightly better than the average veteran. His credit score is off the charts. He's got money to work with. Honestly, do you have any objections to working with a high quality lender, you know, that potentially works with VA loans or the VA product itself, because I'm going to be the person representing this veteran, and I just want to make sure that we do everything we can to help your seller net as much money and help this veteran have a chance to get the home.
I have nothing but faith in you, Mike.
You're supposed to throw at least one objection.
Oh, sorry. Here it comes, here it comes.
Okay.
Here it comes.
All right, where is it?
Oh, I thought you were gonna ask me another question.
No, just throw an objection.
Well-
Just throw something.
I happen to know that this guy is, you know, not as rich as you say that he is, because he's a cousin of mine.
Just take a standard response,
Fine.
like a praise
I don't want my sellers to have to pay for
repairs.
extra
Pick
things.
repairs.
Yeah.
Okay,
pay
pick
for
repairs. So we'll say that you pick repairs. So hey Nate, I completely understand where you're from. You're a member of GMAR, correct, Nate? Have you seen the GMAR events where they're asking folks to come to class to potentially show up to the class called Present an Offer a Seller Will Accept? Have you seen those invites?
I haven't, no.
Okay.
My assistant goes through my emails.
Okay, got it. Do you know Bobby that works in your office?
Oh, yeah.
He's been to our events. Okay, so you can bounce this off Bobby, but we are out here in your community. Actually, I'm the one teaching these classes to your agent partners about how it's actually misperception. Many of these big box lenders don't know that there's many ways to work around repairs. Instead of just saying that, I'm going to kind of roll through them real quick, Nate. So first off, I need to know what's going on with the house. Is the house bad? I mean, to me, it looks like it's kind of new, and it's not that bad at all. Like what's wrong with the house where you think it might need repairs?
Well, the AC unit's about 10 years old.
Okay, so the AC's 10 unit. Anything else offhand you can think of?
No.
Okay, got it. So the piece that I'm asking about relates to what they call minimum property requirements. And many people think that the VA has minimum property requirements that are identical to FHA. And actually, they are quite a bit different. There's a lot more discretion. But rather than trying to teach you all that, let's just say that we have a problem with the AC unit, okay? There's two ways that the VA allows us to handle it, And I, as a lender, can opt in both of those. Let me just explain this real quick, Nate. If that AC unit needed repair, number one, the VA doesn't really care that much unless it's a state and county where you really require that. I know we're in Yuma, Arizona, and your county really likes AC. So let's just say we got to have AC. And I'm kind of twisting the story a little bit because most of the time you don't need AC at all. But let's say that this county required it. So Nate, what we could potentially do is escrow for the replacement of the repair of the AC if the appraiser determines there's such a major issue that it's a health and safety issue. Or we can go directly to the VA and say this appraiser is pushing too far. Let's apply for a waiver of minimum property conditions, okay? Either way, we've got a way to get to closing without your seller having to pay for repairs. As long as the AC is gonna cost less than $5,000 or $6,000, my company can escrow for the repair. The veteran's already prepared to put that money aside. So again, I think the main focus here would be the net to your seller. Does that make sense, Nate?
It does.
Now, I'm not here to present the price or get any of that kind of stuff, but I wanted to answer the questions that you had on the lending side. Okay. Now, can you guys see how that approach would make that agent more comfortable?
Yeah.
Can you see how you as a lender actually you have to know pretty much a lot of stuff that's in the 26.7 to answer these questions quickly and swiftly and confidently? And can you see how putting yourself out there in the real estate market as the educator would put you in a much better position to help the veterans get their offers accepted? 100%. Because you've got a network of other realtors you can drop names with. You got all kind of content. And in fact, if you really want to go to the next level, you take all these myths, you break them down and record videos, and then when you have conversations with the agents, you can say, I know I had this conversation, but I also made a video on this. I'm going to send you as well. Do you think that would help you get more VA loans? Of course it would. Now, beyond that, let's say, yes, okay, I did all this and I'm still just getting a few VA loans here and there. Okay, that's great, that's fantastic, but you can push it to the next level using some of the tools that you learn in events like this, which is I am going to take all my realtors and I'm going to put them either in a Facebook group or a CRM of something of that nature, and I'm going to drip these videos or bomb them or whatever, and I'm going to make this, this fastball that I had, which is educating about myths. I'm going to turn this whole thing into a video series. Every time I meet a new realtor, I'm going to tell them I'm VA Fisher. I'm going to make them program my number into their phone. And, let's say I'm a newer loan officer. I'm actually going to go around to open houses and I'm going to tell everybody that I'm VA Fisher. And it's on the back of my car, okay? And I haven't done a ton of VA loans yet, but guess what? I know all this stuff because Fisher taught me. And I'm just going to walk around and say, hey guys, I am so glad you let me come to your open house. And I'm not going to do like all these other lenders and just ask you for a lead. I'm not going to call you much on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. What I am going to do is tell you how passionate I am about serving the veterans of Tampa. And I feel like a lot of our veterans gravitate to online lenders that don't necessarily have the same passion for serving veterans in Tampa that I do. What I'm out here doing in the community at these open houses is telling you how important I feel it is that we do the best we can to make sure that their offers go smoothly and that their housing needs are taken care of. So I could talk about this all day, and I know that you've got people in this open house, and I appreciate the 5 minutes that you gave me. Here's my card. In the back, it says VA Fisher. You might want to program it on your phone. I will take any phone call from you or any of the agents in your office if there's any kind of questions about working with a veteran, as far as, are they getting the right advice from the lender they're working with? Is the structure of their offer okay? If they're listing their house, what are their options? All that kind of stuff. I teach classes on it. Yes, you can cover those, but I'm not asking you for that. I'm just telling you that I'm an advocate to the veterans in Tampa. So that's why you see in my card, it says VA advocate, the whole 9 yards. I just hope that you remember that in case you run into a veteran in need. That's my specialty, that's my passion. I don't need a penny, I'll jump in, I'll help the vet. Most of the time, the right thing to do is to tell that vet to stay with their current lender. We'll show you how to close it. We'll show you how we work with the regional loan centers to get them to the final closing table. And, worst case, you never call me, but if you need me, I'm here. I'm the VA rescue guy. You can think of me as that. Can you imagine if you ran around town dropping off those cards and you actually knew what you're doing? How many people would start calling you when deals were falling apart? And guess what? You couldn't solve all the problems. But I tell you what, Travis knows this. If you solve the problems of 1 or 2 agents, they start telling everybody in their office how cool you are. Now you've opened the door to come in and teach their whole entire office about what a badass you are and how you can truly help the veterans in your marketplace work through the misperceptions and the things that have been done incorrectly by many of these lenders that just truly have bad leadership and don't have the kind of education they should when it comes to working with the regional loan centers and getting their loans to the closing table. So, I could talk all day, but ultimately, I appreciate you guys listening to that. I would encourage you all, whether you ever join my program or not, to pay attention to many of the things that we put out there, we post, and we are doing to try to educate people about all kinds of topics related to the 26-7 that we feel are misinterpreted. Surviving spouses, entitlement calculations, working with the regional loan center on appraisal turn times, on repairs, on reconsiderations of value, on tidewater, all that kind of stuff. I feel if we as a lending community all commit to being better for the veteran and learn these things at a high level, that we actually can get a stronger marketing voice that's based in fact and based in things working as smoothly as possible. And we actually will start taking market share back, which is my goal. I want the people who do it the right way to have the market share and not the people that are cutting corners. Any questions?
How do you get on the veteran mortgage advisor?
Veteran Mortgage Advisor is actually a paid program. Scott mentioned I wasn't going to ask for money. I got a link if anybody wants it. I'm going to create a special link for the course tonight. So just Facebook message me. I'll send you the link back. The program is normally $6.99. I told Scott we're going to do like a 2-day special for $4.99 at this event. And once you pay, you'll get logins for the course. I'll move you to the Veteran Mortgage Advisor community. And, of course, if you have an admin problem, you don't get a login over, just let us know. Ultimately, the previous community that I did military mortgage boot camp, we had lots of videos in that, we had lots of files. It is our intention to build this program much bigger and better than that program ever was. The course itself is hosted in Kajabi. Has anybody done Barry's CMA course? Also hosted in Kajabi. At this point, I got 60-some videos in there, breaking down all kinds of topics over the sun, breaking down some of the things we teach, going through some of the 26-7 stuff. There's materials, there's reference points. We explain what we're doing in the 26-7. Once you pay, you'll get login to that course. When you complete it, you'll get a completion certificate. I try not to say this too much because I don't like to promise people stuff and then not do it. But when you complete the course, I usually send you a link to our swag